Welcome to another episode of Eternal Bliss Reading Circle. And today I am going to deal with Act 1, Scene 2 of the play The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare. Act 1, Scene 2 takes place in Belmont, where Portia resides. Belmont means beautiful mountain or hill. Belmont is a place close to nature, in contrast to Venice, which we found in Act 1, Scene 1. Venice is a commercial area where wealth flows in with the entry of every commercial ship. In contrast to the ruthless life that we find in Venice, Belmont is a place of romance filled with love and festivity. The scene takes place in a room in Portia's house where Portia is with her maid Nerissa. Portia is disappointed because of the will made by her father. Her father, at deathbed, made the will that Portia could inherit his wealth only if she get married to the person who chooses the right casket. There were 3 caskets, one made of gold, one of silver, and the other of lead. And whoever chooses the right casket, having Portia's picture in it, would be able to marry Portia. Portia is very disappointed about this fact that she does not have an opinion or choice of choosing her husband, and she expresses her grief to her maid and also her friend Nerissa. The first words spoken by Portia are, "By my troth," meaning by my faith, my little body are weary of this great world. Portia is tired of this great world. Now here we find a similarity of the words of Portia with the first words which were spoken by Antonio in Act 1, Scene 1. Antonio is also a rich merchant and he expressed sadness in the beginning of the play. Similarly, Portia is a rich lady. She is heiress of Belmont. Still, she expresses her sadness in this great world. Nerissa replies to Portia, telling that Portia could have expressed her disappointment if her misfortunes were as great as her fortunes, meaning Portia is fortunate to inherit lot of abundance in her life, so she should not express disappointment. Then Nerissa adds that the richest people of society who are surfeit, meaning overfed, and who overflow with wealth, they go through same misery and suffering as the poorest people of the society, those who have nothing to eat. According to Nerissa, the people who reside in between the richest and the poorest section of the society, they lead a moderate life and they lead a happier life compared to the rich and poor people of the society. Then Nerissa adds, superfluity comes sooner by white hairs, meaning those who are very rich, they age quicker because of overconsumption, whereas competency lives longer, and those who reside only on the essential things of life, they live longer. Now Portia says that all the words spoken by Nerissa are good, but it is easier to advise others than to follow one's own instructions. If doing things were so easy, then chapels would have turned into churches. Chapels mean small places of worship, and small men's cottages would have turned into princess palaces. Then Portia said that it is easier for the brain to devise laws for the heart. Now brain has the power of reasoning, but the heart, being an organ of desire, finds it difficult to follow the rules made by the brain. Similarly, the reasoning which Nerissa has provided her is not sufficient for Portia because Portia is not allowed to choose her husband. So it is not a good advice for Portia, where Portia, being rich, beautiful, and young, is not permitted to choose a husband of her desire. Then Portia adds, the will of a living daughter carved by the will of a dead father. Now these words are very important. Please mark it. Here Portia is referring to the will made by her dead father. Her father made the plan that whoever chooses the right casket would be able to marry Portia. Whereas Portia, being living, she is having a life of her own, but she does not have the freedom to choose a husband of her choice. Nerissa consoles Portia by telling that Portia's father was a virtuous man, and holy men are guided by God at their deathbed. So, the marriage plan, which has been devised by Portia's father, must be a virtuous one. Whoever chooses the right casket must be the right husband for Portia, who would love her dearly. And then Nerissa inquires about Portia's opinion about the suitors who have arrived at Belmont. When Nerissa asks about the Neapolitan prince, Portia condemns him, telling he is a colt and he has profound love for his horses. And then Portia disapproves of the county palatine, telling that he doth nothing but frown. She refers to him as a weeping philosopher. Then Portia condemns the French lord Monsieur Le Bon, telling that his words compare to the Neapolitan prince and the county palatine. And when asked about Falconbridge, the young baron of England, Portia says that he does not know how to speak in Latin, French, or Italian, and Portia herself is very poor in speaking English, and so she would have communication problem with the Falconbridge and rejects him too. And after this, Portia also disapproves of the Scottish lord and the young German who was the nephew of the Duke of Saxony. And after this, Nerissa, she provides hope to Portia, telling that Portia does not need to fear because all of them have expressed their desire of returning to their homes. Now Portia says, if I live as old as Sibylla, I will die as chaste as Diana. Sibylla is the Roman mythological character whom god Apollo had granted a long life, and Diana was the virgin goddess of hunting. Now Portia is telling that even if she lives a long life, she would remain unmarried throughout her life rather than having a husband from the lottery which her father has devised. Portia is glad that the four suitors are willing to depart. Then Nerissa reminds Portia of the Venetian soldier and scholar who came to her father's court while he was alive. Portia too recalls him as Bassanio, and Nerissa is of opinion that the noble man deserves Portia's fair hand. And Portia also approves Nerissa's words, telling that indeed Bassanio deserves to be called praiseworthy. He deserves the praise as mentioned by Nerissa. At this juncture, a servant arrives informing that the four suitors were departing. And again, he also gives the information that a fifth suitor, the Prince of Morocco, is arriving at Belmont that night. Then Portia says that she is glad to bid farewell to these four suitors. She was relieved. She thought that she was out of her peril bidding farewell to these four suitors. But her worry remains with her with the coming of the fifth suitor. And the fifth suitor, the Prince of Morocco, like he is a dark complexioned man. And so Portia opines that even if he possessed the heart of a saint, she would not be able to consider him as her husband because of his dark complexion, the complexion of a devil. Portia's attitude towards the complexion of the Prince of Morocco should not be taken as racial discrimination. Here, Portia, being a young lady, is speaking of her own fancy, the qualities she desired in her future husband. Portia is fair, more fairer than the word itself, are the words spoken about her by Bassanio. So, Portia is devoid of any malice. She is a beautiful girl, heiress of Belmont, and through her conversations in this scene, we come to know the worries she is going through because of the will made by her father regarding her marriage. I hope you understood the lesson well. If you have any problem, you may write it down in the comment box so that I can discuss them in my future classes. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel, and remember to press the bell icon for further notification. Thank you and God bless you.